My name is Joe Free with Scribe CPAs. Today I'm going to talk about my backstory. I previously was working in private equity for over a decade. Our business was buying and selling businesses. So I saw time and again how we would go in, analyze a target acquisition. We would make operational adjustments. We would identify any performance-based shortcomings, maximize the profits, and ultimately improve the overall value of the acquisition. The process really worked like a clock. Nothing was left to chance. We would attack a business plan and the goals of that business from every angle. I could see how the process was effective and it worked. I couldn't help but wonder in my time in the corporate world how these methodologies could be applied to small businesses. I grew up in a family business and I saw firsthand the shortcomings, the hardships of the small business owners, and I really felt that they could benefit from the processes that were put in place. I knew that this approach could be a game changer for small business owners. It could change their financial futures and their families' lives for years to come. So growing up in a family business, I've often, throughout my work life, I've seen business from that lens. And the honest truth is that in many cases, small business owners they're really stuck in the operational weeds, so to speak. So they're so hyper-focused on really executing their day-to-day operations that they're missing the big picture. And this is something that a corporate environment has really shown me. I mean, they typically have a larger staff and just more manpower, so they could spend time really focusing on the business and not necessarily the operations. A product of that focus is increasing the overall value of the business. In many cases, small business owners, they put a lot of thought and preparation into getting into a business, and they have that energy, they have that that pizzazz, and they're ready to kind of attack it and go wholeheartedly into that business. Too many times I've seen as clients, they hastily get to the end of the life cycle of their business, and unfortunately, it's an auction. It's just listing it with a realtor, and they're not maximizing the value of that business. So at Scribe CPAs, what we work to do is we really try to give the benefit of our experience to those small business owners. So we have checklists, we have review processes, we have timelines. All of these things kind of build up to the ultimate goal, which is the sale of their business. We don't want to leave anything to chance. So, we think that in many cases, the small business owner, their business is their biggest investment. It's their greatest asset. So rather than just liquidating and kind of wholesaling everything off, we'd like to see them achieve a premium. So all of their energy, all of their blood, sweat, and tears that they've put into their business, we want for them to be compensated for that. And we've created a method that we know works. So over the last 10 years, we've seen it time and again. It's a systematic approach. It not only helps the seller of the business, it helps the buyer. It ensures for a smooth transition from one owner to the next. And we really think the entrepreneur of today would benefit greatly from this consultation. Okay, so I knew the end goal. The end goal was really to optimize the value of the client's business. The reasons might have been slightly different. Maybe there was a retirement planning. Maybe there was an exit strategy they were looking to gear up for. Maybe there was an investor coming in and they wanted to know the value of what they were buying into. So the reasons might have changed, but the outcome was really our bullseye target to focus on. So we wanted to optimize the value that the client received for their business. So that really was done through a long process of peer review, operational, analytic review, seeing what worked best. Talking through the whole process, working with both sides and third-party vendors, title companies, to do what we felt was in the best interest of that transaction. So by focusing on the transaction, we were able to come up with an approach that, if followed correctly, really streamlines the process from beginning to end. We feel that by working with Scribe CPAs, you'll get the benefit of our experience, and a lot of which was built through trial and error. So yeah, I would say many clients that we work with, we realize that the small business owner is somewhat of a different animal than your standard corporate employee. They may not have a 401k or a pension built up. They're really banking on the fact that their business is going to grow, and then the value of that business is eventually going to be realized. And although many small business owners kind of feel like that day is far off. So they kind of, continue to bury their head in the sand and kind of just keep going through the motions of the day-to-day operations. But we've found that getting eyes on that side of the business earlier rather than later really does pay dividends. So, at Scribe CPAs, we feel that we can work together, with the entrepreneur, and help them lay out a plan that not only is profitable to them in the long run, but also gives them a sense of security, knowing that they're doing what's in the best interest of their family in the years to come. So the problem I saw was that small business owners were not getting an extensive or quality analysis. Brokers were really only interested in their next commission check. The large CPA firms were really treating them like a number, and they wouldn't really dive into the details with the proper amount of depth that was required. So my process, it would be much more invasive. It would impact not just the value of the firm, but the cash flow on a monthly basis. I knew that if I could understand the client's business, use the methods that I had created, I knew it could be a life-changing, process for the business owner and for their families. I think the experience really led me. It was an eye-opening experience, not just for myself but for the clients. I think once they started to view their business as an investor would view, mutual fund investment or a stock investment, they started to make better decisions. They knew that just because okay. So once the client really started to view their business from an investor's point of view, it really did change how they were making decisions. It enabled them to, view several alternative scenarios and pick the best one. Not just for the immediate impact, but for the growth of their business as a whole. So I ran into an old friend. He was at a crossroads in his business, looking if trying to plan for an eventual exit strategy, which in his mind was really probably still 10 years off. Through our valuation methods and identifying the alternative scenarios, we were able to cost justify his selling the business within 2 years and really pretty much ending up in the same place. So for this particular client, we were able to save him 10 years of working, 60 to 80-hour weeks. He can now live the life that he's always imagined. Sure, yeah. So that's when I ran into a friend of mine who was at a crossroads in his own business. By applying my methodology, he was able to put a plan in place that enabled him to be able to retire in the next 2 years. This is opposed to working another 10 years, 60 to 80 hours a week. It was really crystal clear to me that, the true magnitude of an accurate business valuation. By looking at my client's business from a variety of different angles, I would be able to get a true picture of the optimized value of that business. By obtaining a full understanding of the market, applying a number of different valuation methodologies, and then taking into consideration the trajectory of that business, I would arrive at an accurate conclusion. This would allow for business owners to move forward with confidence and ensure the decisions being made were in line with their greater overall business strategy. In many cases, I found business owners who they thought maybe they were successful, and they were, in all truth, they weren't really firing on all cylinders. In other cases, there were businesses that, they thought they were, maybe not doing so well, and they were doing better than they thought. So it really gave them a good indication of exactly where they were, in the market. I know many business owners might feel embarrassed or ashamed that their financial house isn't really in order. That maybe their books are messy, or they just don't want to pull the curtain back on that side of the house. I understand that, but I really do. I take an easy approach. I make sure that they're comfortable with the transmission of all data and information, and I just really try to get them looking at it from that same big picture point of view. Yeah, I know some business owners aren't necessarily comfortable with opening up their books and allowing an analyst or an accountant to come in and take a look. In some cases, they're maybe embarrassed that they haven't really spent much time kind of organizing that data, and that they don't want someone jumping in. But we really do. We work with the client to make sure they're comfortable, every step along the way, and we're as involved or as hands off as we need to be, and that really does ensure kind of a smooth process from beginning to end. So, after working with many different clients in several different industries, we came to the conclusion that the two services really, operations management and business valuation analysis, that they were so intertwined that we wanted to come up with a solution that really just pooled those two services together. What we came up with was the Scribe Analytics Disposition Roadmap. It was a full, detailed program that took the small business owner from their current, operational standpoint and modeled out what a business sale would look like. So there really was no ambiguity surrounding that whole scenario. I can say now that after 30 dispositions and finding the original, most often recurring roadblocks, that we really have streamlined the process. It's something that we feel that the seller of the business, the eventual buyer of the business, and any third-party vendors that might be involved, they're truly happy that we've been as proactive and have given our clients, a sense of clarity and a path forward that that really just puts everyone in a better position. What we found as a result of being proactive and not just trying to handle everything as it comes is everyone was left with a better sense of accomplishment, and both buyers and sellers felt like they were involved in a win-win situation.
You experienced?
Sure. In the end, I think we found that this means more and more business owners can now sleep soundly knowing that they've been good stewards of, most likely their largest investment, and they've done what needed to be done to protect their financial lives for their families and really for generations to come. Want me to give it a run?
Yeah, give it a run.
All right. So I've seen so many situations where a client has been blindsided, unforeseen events, natural disasters, a change in their family life. It really could, cripple their operations. And if they're without a plan, they can really be, in a bad scenario. I think with Scribe CPAs, they know that they have a trusted resource that they can lean on throughout that process to make sure, everything is going to be optimized to the best potential outcome.
Why business needs?
Sure. So in any business, any small business, you typically have, a life cycle. That life cycle, starts with acquisition, it ends with disposition. What we've done is, in many cases, we've seen clients abruptly get to the end of their business and not really be prepared. We've taken a holistic approach to truly understand the operations of the business, how things are going on a day-to-day basis, and then create an optimized scenario for the eventual sale. This has given our clients a sense of clarity and, a look down the road that really leads to a sense of security and, really the best possible outcome for their financial future and for their families, life to come.